in the know, non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
So does this have something to do with the contract, or is this absolutely independent of your contractual situation?
No, that's not my focus. My focus is to be out here with these guys on September 9th or whatever it is, and be ready for September and be ready for game day on Sunday. So,
are talks ongoing or close as far as the contract goes that you know?
I don't really know. I keep that between Neil and the guys upstairs. So that's not, like I say, that's not really my focus. It'll play out, so not really what I'm focused on. I'm just focused on football right now and getting out here, being ready to go.
Nice job, dude. I'm going to give Judd not a standing O because sitting at a desk right now. Just sitting at a desk in Colorado at Podcast Movement Convention. But those are great questions that needed to be asked. Judd Zulgad walked up to T.J. Hockenson and asked those questions.
I had to track him down first because he was walking off the field with Brian O'Neill, and I don't think he was thrilled to stop it. He did. He's a fine guy. I'm not buying what he's selling, but what the heck? We had to at least inquire, and I think at some point in time you just have to say, okay, that's what your answer is going to be. That's what your answer is going to be.
Well, let's get into this. This is so Judd's camp notes here again, taking the world by storm. Judd can't even walk outside of his house without the football paparazzi swarming him. You thought Taylor Swift was a hot commodity over the summer. Judd's camp notes have, I think, even eclipsed Taylor Mania. That's what I've seen, anyways.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. It's tough. But you know what? Yeah, let's start with this really, I guess you could call it. I mean, it's not weird, but it's the whole new world.
Time out. Let me shout out TCL first.
Oh,
and
sure.
then we'll put a quarter in Judd's camp notes.
Okay.
And let him go for the next 30 minutes. TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. And TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, and home appliances. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. Learn more at TCL.com. Okay, apologies for interrupting Judd's camp notes. Fine. The floor is now yours. Go ahead.
So this Hawkinson thing is odd because it's the whole new world of like this hold-in thing, right? And it's because he's like taking part in individual drills. He's there. He's not holding out. But he hasn't taken part in team drills in forever now. And at some point in time, they hold training camp, including team drills, for a reason, to prepare for the season. And he is, when those start, he is AWOL. He is not there. He is either watching or he walks off the field to supposedly go get this ear problem attended to, this equilibrium problem, which again, I contend if you have an equilibrium issue, you're not practicing football. Like there's not like, well, I can sort of stand up for these drills, but not but what's his team drills? And keep in mind too, team drills, they can do what they call thudding. So you can have contact. Phil has seen this too. They call it thudding. Thudding. But they don't tackle to the ground. So like TJ Hockenson would never be in jeopardy of being like tackled, just like wrestled to the ground while he's like, I can't stand up.
But you could be thudded and maybe jar something.
But my point is, if you can't stand up straight, my contention is you're not practicing football things. I've never heard of an athlete with an equilibrium problem who's like, okay, just to do some of the things. Ordinarily, you're in or you're out. So that's why
it sounds weird. Serious. Like all right, again, this is sort of journalism 101 is why is this person not telling the truth to me?
Thank you.
There's definitely a contract situation lingering here. There would be reasons why he might not be practicing in full if they're at a certain point in the negotiation. I also understand why he's not going to talk about that in depth publicly. I understand why you would ask, you should ask, you have to ask, someone has to ask. Dude, why it's been 3 weeks, why haven't you been out there? 2 weeks, whatever it's been. But I understand why he's not going to come out and say, well, it's a good question. Yeah, you got me. My agent and I have been pretty far down the road here with Kwesi. We want to be the highest paid tight end in the National Football League, including signing bonus, average annual value, Judd. And I've been dying to say this publicly and just no one's asked me yet, right? So I get that. But let's take his word at face value for a second. If he is telling the honest to God's truth, I have equilibrium issues. I have an ear infection that has lasted 2 to 3 weeks, and it's throwing off my equilibrium 2 weeks before the start of the regular season.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a guy that has that problem. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I covered Denard Span for the Minnesota Twins 10 years ago when I covered as a baseball beat writer. Denard Span had a vertigo issue that prevented him from playing outfield for several weeks at a time. He'd have to go on the injured list. It turned out that he found a great chiropractor to unlock a place in his upper spine, and it fixed him for his career, whatever. But that dude was worried that he might not ever be able to play again without having dizzy spells. Mm-hmm. So I've seen athletes who have equilibrium issues or vertigo issues because of sinus infections or because of ear infections. I don't know. Again, I'm just playing amateur psychologist here. It doesn't seem like I would be in panic mode a little bit more if I was the Vikings and TJ Hockenson if he's telling the 100% truth about the equilibrium issue. That's just
right. Yes, exactly. And this is the type of thing where if that was the case and it was a real problem by now, you probably have missed practice entirely to go see specialists. Like they sent you to a specialist. And I don't have, you know what? I'm willing to buy that at some point in time he had an ear infection. And I'm willing to buy that it hurt like hell and that, he needed meds. So I'm not even, because it does seem like a weird starting point. Like, what should I come up with as a cover for my not practicing? Hamstring? No. Oblique? Oh, no, that's too simple. Let's go ear. Oh, I love it. Let's go. So, but at some point in time, he might have had this. But anyway, the point is that he has not practiced in weeks now with the team as far as team practice goes. He is the top tight end on said team. Yes, he showed up from Detroit and Washington in the middle of the season last year and was spectacular. But again, you hold training camp for a purpose. And the purpose is to integrate him as much as possible in with his team as he can be. And that has not been the case. And it certainly appears that this all comes back to his desire for a contract. And now the question is this, because we've talked about this a lot. It just continues to be an odd thing. But let's spin this forward. If he doesn't get a contract, what's the end game? If he doesn't get a contract by September 10th, not the 9th, TJ, you open on the 10th. Everyone knows when they open the season. Come on, buddy. But if
wow.
But
boy. Now you're taking a shot at the date. You never remember schedules.
I'm just saying, yeah, I do for important things. I do for important things like the
what time are we recording tomorrow? What time are we recording tomorrow?
What do we got tomorrow?
I don't remember. But I'm the TJ Hockenson of the show. Hold on a second here. My ear hurts. Anyway, what's the end game here? That's my question. So, let's say September 10th, he doesn't have a contract. Is he playing and everything's fine and he just sort of made a statement? Is there an issue here? And I don't know. I'm not forecasting it. I've heard nothing. But I think it's a reasonable question now. When you are as committed to this as he is, which he clearly is, what happens if they don't come to a contract? Because very clearly, if they were extremely close, which I think we speculated on a few times that they might be, if they were extremely close, it's done by now. And he's practicing.
Yeah, I'm gonna take your question and ask a question off your question. All right, so he's 26 years old. He was young when he was drafted. He's a former top 10 overall pick, right? And we all feel like there's another step to his game that he's probably got 1,000-yard season in him or multiple going forward. I don't know that he's ever going to be like Travis Kelce, Hall of Fame caliber guy, but based on the salary cap going up every year in the NFL and based on him being the next tight end with his hands out waiting for that contract, would you guys have a problem if TJ Hockenson and his agent were demanding to be the highest paid tight end in the NFL? And right now, those parameters are Darren Waller averages $17 million a year. George Kittle, 15, Travis Kelce, 14. So 17 million is the bar. And by the way, Darren Waller, really good. He's 31 years old. If I'm a 26-year-old that might even have another level left, I want Darren Waller money. And I say, I'm younger. I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to exceed 1,000 yards. In terms of guarantees, George Kittle has the current largest guarantee for a tight end. It's $40 million guaranteed. So if that's what his camp is asking for, would you guys have a problem with it?
Yes, I'd have a problem with that. He's a good tight end. We all know TJ Hockenson is a good tight end. He is not a great tight end yet. He is not a great tight end yet. He is not on the Kelsey level. He is not on the tier 1 level. I think he can be, but he has not shown that he is a great tight end yet. So I can't give him that bag. Can't do it yet.
This is an interesting question because of the fact that the tight end market, which used to be talked about a lot, but then the running backs came along and said, we're getting screwed worse, is one of the more suppressed markets as far as guys, especially guys that catch passes. Well, like Hawkinson is a hybrid tight end receiver, and their argument for a long time has been like, why aren't we being paid way more? Like receivers are breaking the bank, and you know, the upper echelon tight ends do a lot in the receiving game. I think, yeah, I don't think I'd pay him what Waller is making, but it's going to have to be clearly in that ballpark.
Yeah,
it's going to have to be clearly in that ballpark. And keep in mind, again, the most important thing in any of these discussions that we have about NFL contracts is guaranteed money. That's the most important thing. So like you could give TJ Hockenson a record-setting, unbelievable contract and guarantee him $2, and he's not going to want to play for it, and he shouldn't. So like that's where the important question is. What are you willing to guarantee him? I also wonder now if because they actually aren't a dumpster fire in how they're run. I wonder now if we're seeing why the Lions traded him. I wonder if the Lions were fully aware of this coming down the pike. And that's
that he wanted the bag, like the big bag. So if you're the Vikings, I'm just trying to put myself in Kwesi's shoes here. You're trying to figure out in terms of like what you're allotting for different salaries within the salary cap. What is my quarterback situation beyond 2000? Is it a $40 million block for Kirk? Are we getting rid of Kirk and now we're getting cheaper? My edge rushers, both Danielle Hunter and Marcus Davenport, are going to be free agents. That's a critical position. Am I going to have to give a bag to one of those guys or both those guys? Or like, this is a really complicated puzzle. And if you're Kwesi, considering you only had a half season of Hockenson last year and some off-season, practices this year, in a perfect world, you'd probably like to see him for one more full season in the Kevin O'Connell system before you gave him that bag. So this is just like educated / somewhat reckless speculation. Hockenson probably wants the bag now. The Vikings would prefer, for a million different reasons, to say, can we just, we can franchise you if we want to. We always have that leverage as an organization. Let's just get to like March and see what this all looks like. If you go over 1,000 yards and you take a step forward, we're much more willing to give you like $40 million guaranteed. Right? I could see that being a stalemate right now behind the scenes.
The franchise thing to me is, and I don't know what the answer to this question is, but the franchise thing to me is probably the most intriguing part, because I think the reason why the Hawkinson camp is doing what they're doing right now is this is their last bit of leverage. Because if they allow the contract to lapse and now he doesn't have a contract, guess what? The franchise tag can be slapped on. And I think, Phil, didn't you check this out? The franchise tag for tight ends last March was like 13 million or something like that.
Isn't it the average of the top 5 highest paid players?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it would be like $14 million
dollars
or something.
Yeah. So I guess the question is the Hockenson camp trying to preemptively stop that from happening? Because I have to be honest, the Vikings haven't used the franchise tag a lot, but that's a lot of like the Spielman regime. Yeah. I could see Kwesi and Brzezinski being a lot different than Spielman and Brzezinski were. And your point's the best point, which is financial certainty right now. They don't know. Like, are they going to bring Hunter back? Justin Jefferson is going to break the bank. Like, he is going to break the bank. And by the way, the longer it goes till a Jefferson contract gets done, you can't now put cap money into this year, which is what I thought would be the goal, like to shove a little bit of it into this year, redo that automatic trigger in the O'Neal contract that we talked about. Like, so if that's not going to be done, I wonder if this is the Hockenson camp saying it looks premature, but screw that. We're going to get ahead of this game, because if we don't, my guy's being franchised. And again, if you want to be in the Darren Waller ballpark, and you're franchised with that position, you're not in that ballpark as far as your contract goes.
Yeah. Hey, what do you, just to put a bow on the Hockenson part of Judd's camp notes here, what do you say? Because I can already hear a certain section of the audience like, what do you guys are just taking a theory and running with it here. Why don't you just believe what Judd, you asked the question, which
Mhm.
some people might say is invasive. Let him recover and have his medical privacy. But what do you have to say to people that say, why don't you just take his word at face value? He has an ear infection. He has an equilibrium issue. And why does it always have to be some drama that you're drumming up, Purple Daily?
Because there is no common sense involved in actually going along with the fact that it's an ear infection that is totally sidelining him. Again, like, let's go under the premise that he really did have an ear infection at one point, and that sort of gradually built this up. But to me, it lacks all common sense. And when's the last time teams told the truth? Like that's a thing too. And it's important. And Phil, we've talked about this going back to the radio show. It's sports lying, okay? I totally get it. I'm not saying that Kevin O'Connell or Kwesi or the Vikings are this immoral group of, it's fine. This is the give and take. But it's their job to spin the truth as they see fit. And it's our job to cut through the BS, which is part of the reason why our show exists. Like we all bring some sort of pessimism. But yeah, it's pro sports. It's college sports too. Everybody lies. So the question is to get the lie on the record and then to work with that. We are sports investigators, remember. That's what we are.
I think there's a lot of fans that don't care about being lied to. They just want things to be comfortable.
You should see my Twitter timeline right now.
I'm with you on this. This is weird. It doesn't have to be like, it would be nice if there was some level of transparency at some point. I understand why there's not.
Right.
But I think it's fair on this show to say it's weird. It smells weird. It's weird. It'll probably resolve itself one way or the other by September 10th. September 10th, the first game of the season.
It's worth talking about. It's worth talking about because he is their top tight end, and he has not participated in team drills, and that is if you don't think that's important at all, and look, he came in here last year against Washington and was great. Here's my question: why do they practice so much then?
Right, and I get you can't say on one hand, hey, one of the main reasons why the Vikings are going to be better or have a better flowing offense in 2023 is because it's the second year in the system. It's more chemistry, more cohesion, and then a guy that joined halfway through the season and crammed the playbook in is basically a non-participant at training camp. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. All right, we're going to do a sprint through Judd's last 10 minutes of camp notes here in just a moment, but let's shout out our friends, speaking of sprinting, at Nutrisource. Maya Mackey sprints to the bowl every single meal. She hops, she licks her whole face, she smiles, and she eats her bowl of Nutrisource chicken and rice in about 4.5 seconds, Judd. I don't know if she chews it. I think she just swallows it whole.
Stella does not chew it. I can guarantee you that little girl right there, who also does love the training rewards treats, she does not chew it. She inhales it. She had me up at 6:50 this morning because you know what? It was Nutrisource time. And at that point, pop, sleep, be damned. Feed me now, she said. Nutrisource.
Yeah, and Vinny too. Vinny just poses now. You know, he's paint me like one of your French girls, peasant.
Yeah.
and give me some Nutrisource while you're at it, okay? So get up. And despite what my loving fiance says when I showed her that this picture is up on the Purple Daily YouTube page, said that terrible entertainment center that you have had since you were in 6th grade. I can't believe to show everybody that. You know where this is from? True story. That's a Circuit City Entertainment Center.
Nice.
Does Circuit City even still exist?
No, throwback though, baby.
They are gone. I've had that since the 6th grade, and she wants to burn it. She wants to chop it up and burn it in the backyard. Pretty much. She is so, and I get it. It's an old entertainment center. It's got to be upgraded. I'm working on it. Okay, so entertainment centers. Give me some recommendations here. Declan,
so you've had that thing for like 20 years. You're 30. 6th grade, it would have been like 11 or 12.
18 years. Yeah, about 18 years.
You know what's funny? Like the things that we balk at spending money on. I mean,
yeah, no.
I won't blink putting $50 of gas in a car, or like you go to a restaurant or whatever, like, it's $120 for it. But if it's like $100 pair of shoes, or a new entertainment center that you're gonna have for 10 years or something, that's a couple $100, whatever. Like, it's funny where we draw a financial line. No, I'm gonna hang on to this thing for 20 years because it's kind of expensive to get a new one.
It can be sentimental too, though. Like you've had
Is
it
it
for a long
sentimental?
time. It goes back to your parents' house. Your parents
Yeah,
are
I
now
think
gone.
there's
Yeah,
definitely
I
some
can see that.
sentimental. Like
Use
my
that
dad
line.
and I picked it out when we were in 6th
Use that
grade.
line.
There's definitely
Tell
some
her-
sentimental value,
tell
especially
her
the dead
how-
parents card. I can lay
tell
that
her
grief
how
down,
dare
no
you
problem.
be-
My dead mother dusted this off.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad and I picked this out, dude. You should use that and say, "I can't, honey, I love you, but I can't believe the insensitivity that I'm hearing
Can't do
right
it.
now."
Yeah, you can gaslight the hell out of your fiance. So, hey, speaking of sentimental, we have new collectibles wing in the Score North shop. In fact, if you go to scorenorth.com/shop right now, there's a merch wing, which we've told you about, your Victory Monday shirts, your just one before I die shirts. There's also a collectibles wing, thanks to our friends at Universal Sports Auctions. You can get a signed TJ Hockenson jersey right now, actually, over at scorenorth.com/shop. Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne. I'm looking at all the new autographed jerseys in here. One of the coolest ones is the Justin Jefferson one-handed catch against Buffalo, framed and signed by Justin. All of these are available right now to purchase at scorenorth.com/shop, the collectibles section. Promo code SCORE to save 10% on all products site-wide. So check it out, and maybe you can buy Judd a stocking stuffer. That's all Judd's interested in, just you buying him things through the Score North shop.
Picture though, I'm not sure you could put that in the stocking. You
could get a bigger stocking and kind of
Justin
wrap
Jefferson
it.
picture with him making the catch is a very good picture. All right, more camp
All right,
notes.
let's keep rocking.
More Judd's camp notes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the second headline from yesterday after the Hawkinson situation, which is this. And boy, Lewis Cine is injured. Now, we don't know how bad, in a drill that was more along the line of individual drills with that. So it was not teamwork. So it wasn't like bang, bang play. It looked like he slipped a little bit on the turf or something happened and tweaked. Hate to use that word, Vikings fans, tweaked something. I don't know if it's a groin. Definitely in the leg area. But he then went into the medical tent that they have to be checked out. And he didn't leave the field, but he also did not return to practice. And so I don't know if this is going to keep him out for a while. I don't know if it's just something minor, but if there was one player that probably didn't need this among them, it's Cine, because, obviously the reps are important. I am guessing that there was a plan for him to probably play safety extensively again on Saturday against the Cardinals and these joint practices too. Like, all of this is very important. But in his defense now, if you've got like a groin injury, you can't practice. Like you can't just like push through it. It's not like, let's say, an ear infection. So
wow. Wow, dude. Wow. Look at you.
The ear infection you can push through. He is practicing.
Just backing the car back up.
He's
GTA.
He's practicing. TJ's practicing. Cine probably can't. So this could definitely be a setback. And again, as we discussed in my Judd's 53-man roster projection, the safety positions one, I'm very curious because there's deserving guys. And at this point, in fact, when Cine came out and they had second team work, then yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, it was Theo Jackson and Jay Ward. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. But Lewis Cine is a guy who needs this practice time. And if he can't practice this week, it's very unfortunate.
Cheap plug, Purple Daily on Draft. Miles and Tyler Fornes and I talked about this extensively, and maybe where Lewis Cine could even potentially get on the field, in week one. And how maybe you can actually deploy him. Go check that out too if you want a little bit of a debate on where Lewis Cine should or shouldn't play.
Tyler actually explained, kind of from a scouting standpoint, like Lewis Cine's tackling technique and how it needs to evolve. And so, I mean, it's like meat and potatoes. It's like the first 10 minutes of Purple Daily on Draft with Tyler, Miles, and Declan. So yes, I will continue this cheap plug. Check it out on the Purple Daily podcast and YouTube feeds.
So Cine, and just to set the schedule, the Vikings practice today, which is Tuesday, joint practices Wednesday, Thursday, off Friday, game against the Cardinals on Saturday. So the Cine thing is bad news. The good news is, although he returned to practice, he was not allowed to make any contact with, but he still returned Jalen or Jordan Addison and Jalen Nailor, who we hadn't seen since the first practice, came back in practice. Addison was no contact, which tells me he's not completely out of the concussion protocol yet. Nailor was who I think who definitely had a leg injury of some sort. Don't know what exactly, was back. Keneal Harry was still out, which is probably a death knell to his opportunity to make this roster. Kene Wongwu remains out. I have no idea. He was out there on the field. I don't see anything wrapped. I have no idea what's wrong. But the running back position remains pretty lean because I don't know, beyond Madison and Chandler, I'm not quite sure if Kene can't play on September 10th. I'm not quite sure who's going to be the third back now. And I think the best part of the news, though, is that Addison and Nailor are back. And I would guess that this means that Jordan Addison's very close to getting out of the concussion protocol.
Does this mean that those guys in very, very different situations with concussion versus like leg injury coming back right before the joint practices start? What's your sense? Are they going to participate in joint practices? Like, could Nailor do some joint practices and then get into the preseason game? Or do you think that's, after missing 3 weeks, too much to ask?
So yesterday's practice was in shorts and it was not in pads, but they did do teamwork. So they obviously don't hit. I would say there's probably a decent chance that Nailor, from what I saw, can get involved against the Cardinals. I don't know if it would be in the game. Ideally, it definitely would be. Addison, it's just probably him being cleared from the protocol completely, because when they went to team drills on Monday, he wore like a red quarterback jersey, which means don't touch him. So if he's still in that part of the protocol on Wednesday and Thursday, he's not practicing. But if he gets cleared, he probably can just return. So, and I would guess with the way that they did not play anyone who they expect to play last Saturday, I would guess that there is no chance that they're going to play Addison in the game on Saturday.
Did you guys see that picture that I think Kirk Cousins posted it? It was like the Mustache Monday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he was very proud. He stopped and talked to us after practice.
He's like a Fu Manchu situation.
Yes,
but did you? But Declan, you do look good in a Fu Manchu. Judd once did that like 10 years ago from a Movember fundraiser and looked like a terrorist. It was unsettling.
Okay. I look like a Russian hitman.
Yeah, like a Bond villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
No, not like the main villain.
Yeah,
like the henchman that gets killed off, like
easily taken care of by Daniel Craig. Just thrown through the window, you're done. No problem.
Yes.
But in that picture, it was I guess there's no other way to say this. It was like 20 white Vikings with handlebar mustache looks, and then Jordan Addison was like on the edge of the picture, not smiling, just sort of staring at the camera. Like, did he like wander in with a concussion into the wrong room? Like, what is this photo? Does he have a mustache? I think he was the only one without a mustache.
Kirk explained it. So Addison has a mustache, but he's always had it. So he didn't grow it for Monday. So
is it like, but you can't really, it's like
they need diversity. Let's just say that. Like that picture, they need diversity.
It could use a little diversity.
Very lacking. But Kirk said, so I believe the guy that won it, if I'm not mistaken, was Austin Schlottman, who even Kirk's like Schlottman.
No one knows his name.
Quarterback can't pronounce his name. It's like a Seinfeld. I mean, I'm not faulting Kirk. I can't either. I can never remember if it's Schlottman or Schlottman. But anyway, but the thing was, so I think he won it, but he's always had like a beard, like always. So all he did was shave like the chin part, but he still left the beard part. So I don't know how he won it.
Triple H look, yeah.
But Kirk said that Schlottman's wife had never seen his bare chin before. So like they had never. Wow. So like I don't know how long they've been together, but this was the first time so that he could participate in Mustache Monday that he actually shaved his chin.
Wow. So Kirk is like getting relationships to new levels with his Mustache Monday.
Well, he's done that now. He's done the jersey thing. Kirk has, which he had in the spring. Look, I mean, he's a different guy. He is a different guy now. He just is. He's allowed to be Kirk.
He had the 30-minute I don't know if it was 30 minutes, but he had like what was the word that was used to describe his addressing of the team before training camp? Riveting.
Yep, exactly.
The riveting addressing of the team.
I mean, without Mike there, he's a different guy.
And he's allowed to blossom and be Kirk and be Kirk in all of his Kirkness without feeling shame. Yeah,
I got a feeling that the Kirk that we saw in the Netflix special might have been a bit of a different guy if that had been filmed, if Zimmer had allowed it to be filmed, which he might not have. So yeah, he's a different guy. It's fun. Yeah. All right, more camp notes. Mekhi Blackmon is still out with an arm. I don't know when he's going to play next. And I know Pelissero said they avoided, a catastrophic injury, which means his season's not done or he's not going to have to go on IR. But I don't know if he's going to be set to play against the Buccaneers. And if he's not at this point in time, your 3 defensive backs who play a lot will be Byron Murphy Jr. inside, Caleb Evans, who has the concussion problems, but he was back in practice, which is good news, outside. And right now, Joanne Williams will be playing outside September 10th. I am convinced if Blackmon can play, he will take that job. But this is clearly, the Vikings clearly breathed a sigh of relief that Blackmon's not hurt for a long time, but this also is not, I don't think, hey, he's back today. Just my analysis as a doctor of football.
Yeah. Does this make it any more likely that Greedy could be on the docket? Is there any news on that front? He has not signed with anyone.
Not allowed. So O'Connell didn't talk yesterday, and Justin Jefferson, I think, talks tomorrow just to say, hey, your friend Greedy, he's on the market. What do you think, Justin? But it would make some sense. Now, Greedy Williams, with where he is contractually in his career, has to clear waivers. In fact, his brother got waived on Saturday by the Giants, and he was picked up. Greedy was not. So I think what the process is now once he clears waivers, he becomes an unrestricted free agent and then can start to talk to teams. So if the Vikings are going to talk to him, it'll probably be in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's especially if it'd be nice to know, is the Mekhi Blackmon thing, is it like, in danger of wiping out the first 2 games for him? Or is it like, oh, he might actually need to be placed on injured reserve? Because there is a gap between sort of the first 5 cornerbacks on year 53 and then the next guy. So I think going outside the organization would be how you would replace one of them if they couldn't play early in the season.
Yeah, I'm just going to guess that that is probably going to be touch and go for the September 10th game.
Yeah, interesting.
But
okay.
and if he can't practice until then, Joanne Williams probably does start because of the fact that he hasn't practiced.
Yeah. All right. What do you have another couple camp notes for us here? Digging through the bottom of your bag.
Danielle Hunter excused absence, so he was not there, which sort of raised a few eyebrows. Obviously, his contractual situation has been resolved, but O'Connell actually sent through the team's PR department because, it's pretty glaring when Hunter's not there that it was an excused absence that had been planned. Didn't say what, but if you see that today, it's not a big deal, and I would guess he's expected back for the Tuesday practice. And then finally, Brian O'Neill back in team drills again. He was in them for a day or so. Obviously didn't take part in the joint practices against the Titans last week. O'Connell said that they were hoping to gear him up to take part in the joint practices against the Cardinals. So if that's the case, that is certainly good news, especially I went back and watched a little bit of the first half last night on Saturday. That Oli Udoh thing, it didn't look good in person, and when I tried to watch it on TV, it didn't look any better. So Brian O'Neill coming back is absolutely imperative.
Yep. He should have enough time here. He's got about 20 days or whatever it is until September 10th to get himself right.
Yeah, no one your openers. That's all I'm saying.
Let's shout out our friends at Summit Orthopedics. So I don't know if they can help with ear infections, but they can help with pain from the ankles and the feet all the way up to back, neck, shoulders. And they have an orthopedic walk-in urgent care 7 days a week as well, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. No referrals are needed. They offer same-day appointments, 25 locations across the Twin Cities and greater Minnesota. Learn more at summitortho.com. That's summitortho.com. Sorry.
Can't see that too much. It's their beautiful facility.
What are you trying
to
show us?
It's a Summit It's Summit.
Oh,
It's their beautiful facility in Egan. I took a picture of it.
This is our new B-roll here on
I was
Daily.
going
It's
to
just
get
Judd pulling up grainy
I
photos.
was going
on
to
his
get a
phone.
sandwich a couple days
it's
ago.
It's Burger Press.
And
Look
I
at Burger
stopped
Press.
and I stopped in front of it. I'm like, I'm going to take a picture. This is a beautiful building. This
Look,
is where
I
I would
was at-
want to.
Look at this. I was in Owatonna. It's Federated Insurance.
Federated.
You should-
Federated's been around.
Is their
This is a
building
photo
that
of-
nice? The Summit
It's
building is
beautiful.
gorgeous. You're going to walk into a great building. It's going to be fantastic. I'm trying to help the show. Anyway, that's it.
In
That's
fact,
all I
Judd with photos from 1904 of the original Federated building. Federated's been around for over 100 years, helping
Whoa.
businesses maximize their success through risk management tools and resources. It's like having a great offensive line protecting your business, if I could put it in football terms. You can find out which industries Federated specializes in working with, and if it matches with your business, then maybe you should find your Federated marketing rep. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Judd's camp notes, just, I would say, prickly today. Taking no prisoners,
definitely
not taking
It's a lot of
people
stuff.
at face value at this point in camp. You are not here to mess around with Judd's camp notes.
Nope. You should see between my criticism of Cat in the World Basketball Classic tournament and my or my questions to Hawkinson, my timeline is a mess right now.
Wait, people actually are like defending Cat from getting ejected in a preseason World Cup game.
I tweeted
Dude, stop talking to officials.
As Ant takes off, as Ant becomes a superstar, here's Cat being tossed from you son of a, you're always looking for the negative. You're not saying how much he's helping the Dominican Republic. You're just so yes, my timeline is a complete mess.
Go see what Bill Simmons said about Dame Lillard and the Wolves, though. Go check that out.
I listened to the listen to the
Nice.
first 30 to 35 minutes of the latest
Scoop
Bill Simmons
material.
podcast.
Yeah.
Scoop material.
It's all stuff that you've heard on
Yeah.
Mackie and Judd and Flagrant Howls. It's the Portland, but it's Bill Simmons saying, wouldn't Dame Lillard be watching Anthony Edwards right now and saying to himself, why don't you just swap me and Karl Anthony Towns? And then the Blazers can have, a 27-year-old, a 5 years left on his contract, unicorn big man, 3-point shooting guy, and then Damian Lillard can play with Anthony Edwards.
Fair enough.
I mean, sounds good to me. Anyway,
as Chip says, I gotta go.
All right, Judd's got to go. I got to go. Live here from Denver, Colorado. Judd will be out at practice and the joint practices all week here. Purple Daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.